So, you've had this business idea in your head for months, maybe years, but you keep wondering, is now really the time? Here's the truth: most people who wait for the perfect moment never actually start. In this video, I'll give you 5 clear signs that will help you know if you are actually ready to start a business. And if you have at least 3 out of 5 of those signs, it's time to stop waiting and start building now. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Calling Code with Mina Salib, a place where we speak to and learn from people who are driven by excellence and led by faith. I'm your host, Mina Salib, and today it's a solo show. It's really exciting. We're talking about when and if you should start a business. Because honestly, I keep hearing the same question over and over and over. How do I know if I'm actually ready to start? So let's settle it once and for all. Here are 5 proven signs that you're ready to start your business now. And honestly, you might actually be called to do so. Before we dive in, I want to be clear about something. These aren't really arbitrary feelings. It's not motivational fluff. I'm not out here trying to inspire you. Honestly, these are patterns that I've seen from really successful founders, backed by research and rooted in biblical principles of stewardship and calling. That's why this place is called the Calling Code. So, as I go through each sign, I want you to honestly assess where you are. This isn't just content to consume. This is actually about decision making and creating a framework. So, let's start with number 1. First and foremost, has the idea been on your heart for a long time? You know what I'm talking about, right? It's that idea, that product, that service that keeps coming back to you. You think about it when you're in the shower. You think about it when you're in meetings. It pops into your head throughout the day. You're on the train, you're on the bus, you're in the car. You see it everywhere. And it's just not about daydreaming, right? Psychologists actually call this something. They call it persistent goal activation. So, what is that? What is persistent goal activation? Well, it's when your brain keeps returning to the same idea without being prompted. It's a signal that this goal is actually deeply aligned with your values, with your identity, with who God made you. But here's what makes this different, right? From just passing interest, just this idea that, I had in the shower, it sounds cool, but I don't really know what to do with it. It's actually been consistent over time, right? It keeps popping up. We're not talking about the flavor of the week business. We're talking about something that has been stuck in your head for months and years at a time. And it's something that you really think you have the best way to solve. It could be something that you think could impact the whole world, and it could be as simple as a local business you want to get started that you think would really benefit your community. So here's the key question to ask yourself. Has this idea persisted through different seasons of your life? Has it survived doubts, your distractions, your busy season? If yes, that's a strong indicator that it isn't just a fleeting interest, but it's something that you're meant to pursue. Write down when you first had this idea. Look at that date. If it's been, 6 months and you're still thinking about it regularly, check this box. You've got number 1. All right. So what's sign 2? Sign 2 actually is kind of interesting. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. The second sign you're ready to start a business is you have naysayers, you have doubters. Some people, the youth, the young ones, they call them haters. And that's actually a good thing. So it might surprise you, but if everyone around you thinks your idea is just phenomenal, there are zero doubts, and you kind of have zero doubts, that might actually be a red flag. Let me explain why. First, real innovation always faces resistance. If your idea truly is solving a problem in a new way, Some people just won't get it at first. And that's normal, right? When Airbnb started, people were like, nobody's going to let strangers sleep in their home. When Uber launched, people said nobody's going to get in a stranger's car. Innovation often looks crazy until it works. Another form of doubt that could creep in. People might just look at it, man, why another XYZ company? Why another family business? Why another? Well, because you have a different spin on it, because you think there's a need, because you think there that you can actually solve a problem people are having, potentially in your local community, in your church, whatever it might be. Research from Harvard Business School actually shows that most successful startups often faced significant skepticism in their early stages. Why? Because they were doing something genuinely different. But here's what I want you to hear. I'm not saying ignore all the feedback. I'm not saying when you talk to people, don't actually consider their opinion. If literally everybody, including people in your target market, think your idea just won't work or they don't necessarily need it, you need to actually listen. You might need to potentially pivot, right? Or change your idea. But if you're just hearing pushback from people who aren't really entrepreneurs, they don't understand, they're risk averse, or they're just genuinely just adding just doubts for no reason, that just might be noise. And second is your own doubts. And your own doubts are actually kind of healthy. If you're thinking, what if I fail? That's normal. What if I'm not good enough? That's normal. Those aren't signs you shouldn't start. Those are actually signs that you're taking this seriously. You're counting the cost, as scripture says, right? In Luke 14, Jesus talks about counting the cost before actually building. He doesn't say, just go out, build blindly. He said, no, he says, make sure you understand what you're getting into. Your doubts force you to plan better, prepare more, and build something even stronger. So here's your litmus test. Are your doubts making you plan and prepare, or are they making you procrastinate and avoid? If it's the former, you're ready. If it's the latter, you just need to address fear. So, action step, take out your pen and paper, write down your 3 doubts or your most common pushback that you're getting. Now, next to each one, right, is this something I can plan for and kind of mitigate? If the answer is yes to at least 2 of them, check this box. Good news, you got number 2. All right. Sign 3. The third sign you're actually ready is you have the skills or you know how to get them. So notice I didn't say you have to be perfect. I didn't say you need a business degree with 10 years plus experience like this is, a job interview. No, I said you have the skills or you know how to get them. So here's what that actually means. You have enough competence in your core offering that you can deliver real value to paying customers. If you're starting a marketing agency, you should probably know how to run ads or create content. If you're launching a coaching business, you should probably have expertise in the area you're coaching in. If you're building a product, you should actually understand the problem you're solving. If you're making suits, you should have experience actually tailoring. If you're in the food industry, you should actually have experience making pretty good food. But you don't need to know everything. You don't need to be the best accountant, the best marketer, the best salesperson, and the best operator all at once. You just need to be good enough at your own core skill set and be willing to learn the rest over time or hire out. Find people that complement your skills so you can put out the best product. A study by the Kauffman Foundation found that successful entrepreneurs aren't necessarily the most skilled in every area. They're actually just the most resourceful. They know their strengths, they acknowledge their gaps, and they figure out how to fill them. I love this parable of the talents, right? It says the servants weren't given necessarily equal amounts. They were given kind of according to their ability, but all 3 were expected to do something with what they had. You don't have to have the 5 talents, like the most that were given in the story, right? but you just need to be faithful with what you've been given. Get your talents out there, utilize them, right? You've been given them for a reason. What are you going to do with them? So here's the honest question. Can you deliver your core product or service at a level that would genuinely help someone? Would you actually pay for what you're offering if you were a customer? If the answer is yes, you have enough skill to start. Everything else, the business operations, the marketing, the sales, whatever it is, you can learn as you go. So that this goes for if you want to start writing a book, you want to start a blog, you want to start a podcast, you want to become an influencer, you want to start a local business, you want to start a pizzeria, you want to start a coffee business, you want to start whatever it is, you want to start a restaurant. You should have the skills or be able to find the skills in someone else to be able to get this done. All of those things can be solved. So, action step, write down your core skill or expertise. Rate yourself 1 to 10. If you're above a 6, I think you're ready. If you're below a 6, write down how you'll actually get there. Maybe it's courses, maybe it's mentorship, maybe it's practice, maybe it's outsourcing, maybe it's finding the right person to help you actually complement your skill set and actually still get you there. All right, sign 4. We're going quick. Sign 4. The fourth sign you're ready to start a business is past experiences have actually prepared you, especially the hard ones. So oftentimes we're like, man, why is this season in my life so hard? Why? Why, God? How could this happen to me? Why are you making everything so hard? Maybe it's just actually preparing you for where you should be in the future. So honestly, this is where it gets really powerful because oftentimes the things that you think disqualify you are actually what uniquely position you to actually launch the business that you're going to start. So you might think, I don't have any business experience, so I'm not ready. I've been in academia my whole life. I've been a doctor my whole life. I've been a pharmacist my whole life. I've been in whatever it is. I've been a lawyer my whole life. But maybe you managed a team at your corporate job. Maybe you organized events at your local church. Maybe you solved problems for customers in your previous role. All of that actually is relevant experience. Or maybe you've been through something really difficult, a health struggle, a financial setback, a season just of uncertainty. And now you actually want to help others navigate those. You want to be a life coach. You've been able to kind of navigate your life that might actually have been a hard life, but you've been able to navigate it by relying on God and getting through it. So that lived experience is valuable. That's not a deficit. That's actually your differentiator. Funny enough, research actually kind of shows that entrepreneurs who have faced adversity and learned from it are often the most resilient and they're better problem solvers than those who haven't. The struggle wasn't actually wasted. It was preparation. This is like one of my favorite stories. It's like probably one of the most well-known stories in the Bible. Just Joseph in the scripture, sold in slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, thrown in prison after that. And every single one of those experiences were actually preparing him to lead Egypt and actually the entire world through the famine that awaited them 7 years later. None of those past experiences were actually wasted. At the time, man, it must have sucked, honestly. It probably felt like detours, disasters. It probably felt like, man, I don't deserve this. Why me, God? Right? In hindsight, it's kind of all preparation. So, so here's what I want you to see. Your past isn't a disqualification. It's actually your resume for what God is calling you to build. The question isn't, do I have the perfect background? The question is, have my experiences taught me something that I can use to serve others? So, action step. Action step number 4. Get ready. Make a list of experiences from your past jobs, your roles, your struggles, your seasons of life, your service experiences, and now ask yourself, how did these prepare me for what I'm about to build, for what I want to build? And I guarantee you, you'll find more connections than you actually thought. So if you have at least three ways your past has prepared you for what you want to build in the future, honestly, you probably have gotten four. Honestly, you've probably gotten four, number four, sign four checked off. Good job. And I would say the fifth and final sign you're ready, sign five, is that God's opening doors and you really just need to walk through them. So this one is one of the coolest ones, I would say, right? This one kind of ties everything together because you can have the idea, you can have the skills, and you can have the preparation and the resilience. But if God isn't really blessing it, and if God isn't in it, that's not, if your will is not aligned, it won't really have the impact you're hoping for. You might make money in the short term, but the impact you're looking for, especially as a faith driven entrepreneur, as a faith driven person, you want that alignment. Okay. And here's what I've personally learned: God doesn't usually open doors all at once. He opens one door and he waits to see if you'll walk through it before he opens the next one. Maybe you've been praying about this business idea and suddenly you met someone who needs exactly what you're offering. Maybe a bunch of your friends have been talking about, man, why do you start this? Why do you start this? You have this awesome skill set. Why do you start this? That's God knocking. That's a door. Maybe you've been waiting for clarity and you've been having this kind of unexpected conversations that gives you this final piece of the puzzle to unlock. That's a door. Maybe you've been asking God for a sign and an opportunity to show up that you didn't really orchestrate. That's a door. I've seen this personally in my own life, man. The things that I've gotten in my I always joke, the things I've ever applied for, the things that I've, sent 100 job applications for, I never got those jobs. And the things that I ended up getting are the things that God just opened by his grace and through amazing relationships that he's allowed me to have, and all of that. So it's awesome. And you don't really, the things you plan are not necessarily the things that are good for you. It's the things that God allows and plans for you. And he opens those doors and you go through them. It's your choice. You go through them or not. Right. And if he's consistently giving you these messages and these hints, maybe that's a sign. So here's the tension. Faith requires action. Before you have all the answers, you won't have perfect clarity. You won't have detailed roadmap, but you will have enough light for the next step. And the cool part is I've probably interviewed at least 10 really awesome, dynamic people, many of them being entrepreneurs over the last 3 months since we started the Call and Code. And each of them have shared this specific, quality or this specific feedback that, man, like when they followed God's will and they just like were praying about something diligently and asked for blessing, asked for God's will, and they just, what they prayed for, God opened these doors, or he didn't open these doors, and they went through the right one that they were supposed to. And so I think for all people that are trying to strive for a life of excellence and faith, this is critical to be able to really follow God's will and allow him to open the doors that you should be walking through. And so here's a question I have for you, right? Have you seen any signs of momentum? Have you seen kind of unexpected opportunities? Have any connections or resources showing up at the right time? Maybe this is it, right? Maybe this conversation is the sign. If you're seeing kind of doors open, even small ones, that's God inviting you to take a step forward in faith. And so, action step five, write down any doors that have been opened over the last 6 months related to this idea: conversations, opportunities, resources, relationships, any of those. If you can identify at least two, check this box. You've got sign number five down. And so, all right, let's bring this home. Here are 5 signs you're ready to start your business, and you might even be called to do so. Number 1, the idea has been on your heart and it won't go away. Number two, you have naysayers, doubters, maybe even haters. Maybe you have even your own doubts, and you're using them to build better, not to quit. Number three, you have the skills or you know how to get them. Number four, past experience have prepared you, especially the hard ones. And number five, God's opening doors and it's time for you to walk through them. Now, here's my challenge to you. If you have 3 out of 5 of these signs, you're ready. It's not perfect, not fully prepared, but ready enough to start. Because here's the truth. The biggest risk isn't starting and failing. The biggest risk is never starting at all, honestly, and always wondering what if. It's going to kill you. That what if will kill you. Trust me, I've been thinking about starting this podcast for a year and a half now. And it's just after just 3 months ago, I decided, you know what? Forget it. Let me just try. God doesn't call the equipped, okay? He God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. And if he's putting in your heart, giving you the skills and prepared you through your experiences and open doors, that's him saying, it's time. It's time right now. So stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for fearless. Stop waiting for easy. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start scared even if you have to. Man, just start. Please. Just start. If this resonated with you, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me which of the 5 signs you might have had, or even the business you're thinking about starting or want to start. Honestly, I try to read every comment. Actually, I don't even have that many comments. So I read all the comments. What am I saying? And I want to hear where you are in your journey. And if you know someone who's been sitting on a business idea for kind of way too long, send them this video. Sometimes people just need permission to start. Be that person for them. All right. That's this episode of The Calling Code. Go build something that matters. Go build something that really impacts the world positively. God wants that from you. And I'll see you on the next one. God bless. Peace.